Good morning, sunshine. Welcome back to the All-Purpose Pod for an All-Purpose Life, wherever you are today and however you listen to the Call Me Mr. You, the podcast. We thank you again for making us a part of your morning, your day, and your week. We're your weekly mirror check before you go change the world, baby. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and of course, the Twitter. Download, subscribe to our shows wherever you enjoy your podcast and your YouTube channels. How you guys doing today, Bo? Good morning.
Morning. How are you today?
Fantastic. One more day of quarantine. And tomorrow I'm free. Unleashed back on society again. Get ready. I'm coming. Guard your children. Lock your doors. I'm coming to get you tomorrow. Oh, my goodness. Wow. There's so much to talk about today. I don't know how we're going to get into it at all, but you had a good weekend, man? Heard you were running around and doing all kinds of stuff. You're a busy man. You always running around, man. Do you ever have a weekend off?
Yeah. I had one of those ones. I got 12.
Huh?
Nah, man, I'm always running around. It's just there's always so much to do, especially with trying to get the lineup set for some of the shows I want to do this year. So I have to actually scout locations out, stuff like that, because I want to be on site for some of these things. So
you want to talk about it a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So the main one that I'm going to do is the Sports Bar Series. That'll be for Thursday Night Football. Now, some of this was put together because I want to highlight local businesses, and so the plan for it is to go in kind of midday, interview the owner of the bar, film the spot, get the vibe of the place, and then watch the game there that night. So not only does it enable me to highlight local businesses, but then it also makes it so that I can watch football with, people watching the show. If you happen to be in my area and you see that we're going to be in your town, come on out, have a beer with us, watch some football. We're doing them solely in the Seattle area for this first season, and we're going to be doing them from Tacoma to Bellingham. So that is about a 50, 60-mile stretch. Basically going to do one in a different city each week. So should be a lot of fun. Looking forward to it. Plus, it, hopefully, as bad as Thursday Night Football was last year, hopefully it'll make the game a little more fun to watch too.
That's cool that you're doing the interviews, man. I like that. That's pretty awesome, man. Yeah, TNF not good last year. Yeah, I felt like it was really good the year before. I don't know what happened. I felt like it was really good the year before, but something fell off.
Well, so the teams did. So when you looked at the Thursday night lineup before the season started, you look at it and you're like, okay, like some of this can be a decent lineup.
Yeah.
And it just happened that the Rams, didn't play football last year. And, so like there were a lot of teams that just weren't very. So, if you have a couple of teams that aren't good on Thursday nights, it's just going to be ugly. And I mean, when it gets to the point where, Al Michaels is on screen saying this is a terrible game, that it doesn't inspire a lot of confidence, right?
Not a good thing. That's kind of the end. Yeah, that's the coup de grace. But there's a lot going on, man, in sports. I'm hoping that TNF is going to be good this year because I like watching TNF. I like being, I'm free for that. Don't screw it up in the NFL. Give us some good games, please. All right.
Yeah.
on a couple of sad note, we don't talk about it much on the show yet. I'm going to start implementing a lot more pro wrestling talk and have some guests on the show in the upcoming future. I mean, pro wrestling has been a big part of my life for, I will probably say, my entire life. This is not hyperbole. When I was in the womb, I was hearing Hulk Hogan and Bruno Sammartino. I mean, I was hearing the sounds of them while I was in my mother's womb. I mean, that's how far back it goes. When I came out clapping and grabbing chairs, hitting chair shots on people. That's my upbringing. That's my background. My grandmother was huge. My grandfather was huge in pro wrestling. My mom, I was reared on it for the most part. So when I say all my life, it's been all my life. So usually when somebody passes away from that from any generation since 1970, I usually feel it. I'm not on Twitter like some folks. They're out there, they openly mourning and their whole day is ruined because I'm not that far into it. But I do appreciate what they've done, and it is a loss on a lot of people, their family, of course, first and foremost, and then the organizations they work for. But a couple of notable names: on August 23rd, former wrestling champion Terry Funk passed away from dementia, from what I'm understanding. Right behind him was the wrestler Wyndham Rotunda, aka Bray Wyatt from the WWE, passed away on the 24th. That was my sister's birthday, so that's how I'm probably going to remember it now going forward. That's her birthday. But he passed away from what they said finally was related to a heart attack. So that brings up two topics for me that I kind of want to just get off my chest a little bit, because it's kind of heavy a little bit. But with Terry Funk, supposedly he died of dementia, and it reminded me of my grandmother, because that's how she went out. She was in her late 80s, and she went out the same way. And it's really an ugly disease. It's basically a disease of the brain. It's pretty ugly, man. If you know anybody that's been through it, it's not a pretty picture. I mean,
yeah, my grandma actually.
Yeah, progressive loss of intellectual functions, loss of memory, personality changes. You know what I'm saying? It's just an ugly situation. I watched her go through it. And it was painful to watch. So to hear that about Terry Funk was pretty sad, man. With Bray Wyatt, people are speculating about the vaccine, all kinds of stuff. I don't know anything about that part, but when I heard as recently this morning, caused it to be a heart attack, it made me think immediately about Damar Hamlin. I don't know why that came to mind, but I thought about him immediately, because I've been hearing about him with cardiac arrest, and it's still a topic still, because another guy went out on the field, I think this past weekend, and everybody started thinking about the same thing. He went out from a collision, but it was the same type of vibe to it. Everybody crowding around the player. The game stopped. The game was suspended. I think it was David Davis from the Miami Dolphins. He was in a collision with his own teammate, I think it was, and he was in a collision. I don't know who he hit him, but they all started crowding around him. They stopped the game. They suspended the game, and didn't come back and play anymore. It was preseason, anyways. But his health was way more important, regardless. But it kind of gives you some Damar Hamlin feels, and it's like, wow, this is going on a lot. I mean, even LeBron's son, in the sport of basketball, dealing with cardiac arrest. Kids is 35. I mean, Bray Wyatt was 36, but 35 years and younger are dealing with cardiac arrest. It's like, what is going on? This is not what we normally have been seeing. What do you think about that, man?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously there's lots of speculation, because the numbers have really jumped up since COVID, right? And obviously there's speculation that the vaccine is a factor, because a lot of these are athletes. They were forced to take the vaccine, right? Plus, they shoved the vaccine out after 6 months, so it's not like it had crazy amounts of testing. But people that have just had COVID and didn't get the vaccines have also had similar issues. So, it's entirely possible, just the way the body reacts to that particular virus. And, so unfortunately, I think this is probably going to be something that we see going forward for a while anyway, until our bodies adapt a little bit to this new virus. Like, will you still get sick from it? Of course, you still get sick from the flu virus too, but the long-term effects may not be as severe after your body's encountered it a few times. And generations to come obviously will evolve in a way that will handle the virus better. But I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, there is an alarming amount of cases, and it's unprecedented, to say the least.
Yeah, absolutely. I was very, very shocked to have encountered the virus myself. I was shocked because during the virus's uprising or its heyday, everybody, all my friends, everybody was being touched by it in some way, shape, or form, and it was just missing me.
Yep,
it was not touching my house. I was not. There was no COVID nowhere around here. I was good. I wasn't doing anything. I didn't do anything particularly different. I was trying to be safe, like they say, but nothing was really going on. But that was like, wow. It was a shocker to me. I'm like, wow. I thought everybody thinks it's done. I'm sitting here with them, like, whoa, what happened? So it's like, you never know what's going to happen with that. I mean, I didn't know. I thought about my heart. I thought about all kinds of stuff. It was like, wow, this stuff is hitting close to home now. I mean, with those situations with the wrestlers and especially with the wrestlers, nobody's attributing their passion to their profession. But for me, it's just hard to not at least think about it.
Mhm.
I mean, if dementia, what they say is true, it's a disease of the brain.
Yep.
You think about all the times that Terry Funk took headshots, chair shots, head hitting the mat, head hitting the cement floor.
Yep.
Around the ring. This has happened for years. He was 79 years old. As a matter of fact, it wasn't that many years ago. He was still taking bumps. He was still wrestling. And then you got Bray Wyatt, who was young, and he was taking chair shots and that kind of stuff too. And people, running headlong into his chest and spearing him. I mean, it's so many different elements of this going on. I'm like, wow. It's like now you can't help but think about it. It's like, wow, this is your profession, and cardiac arrest is like it could be a connection there. I mean, not listen to the experts. The experts are saying the so-called experts anyway. They're saying that genetics is the real reason why this is happening, and not the game itself. I'm like, wow, who does that benefit when you say stuff like that?
Who does that benefit? I mean, yeah, I think they're trying to make it so that people aren't afraid to get into sports. The
numbers are down in football, and that's not coincidence, and nothing they can say is going to change that.
Yeah,
mothers care about their kids, and they're thinking differently about their kids taking headshots.
Yeah, I mean, and it's just different because the younger generations don't seem to follow the sports the same way we did as kids. They just have other stuff going on. So, I mean, it's one of those things that, we talked about before on another episode where, you're going to start seeing, I mean, you're already seeing numbers trail off for viewership on all major sports. But it's a trend that's going to continue. I mean, the major sports are, realistically probably going to get taken over by I mean, you're going to have like pro gaming events that are going to have better viewers than, major sports in the future. I mean, it'll probably be a thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on, but our prayers and thoughts go out to the Rotunda family and the Funk family. We hope that they're coping with this well. We know that when you lose somebody you love, it's no pretty picture, no matter how they go out. But these recent rash of cardiac arrest scenarios, there's probably a lot more that haven't been reported or they're not as widely known, but there seems to be a trend, and we hope that we get good information so we can kind of help protect some of these young folks who are going through this, because we don't want nobody dying on the field or on the court. So, but let's jump into a little bit of football, man. College football is officially back Saturday, I think it was. Yep. Some games got played. I've seen 2 or 3 of them, and that just shows my desperation for college football because some of those games were not exactly great. I watched a little Notre Dame and Navy. Navy scored 3 points, I think, in the last few minutes of the game. Other than that, they were being shut out 45-0, something along that line. It was rough to watch. Muff passes by the handle from the center to the quarterback. It was just a whole bunch of stuff. Ill-time interceptions. It was just a lot of bad football on the Navy side, but I was watching college football, baby. It was bad. I think I watched Mercer. I forget who they were playing, but I watched a little bit of everything. I don't know. Did you watch anybody?
No. I wasn't actually around a whole lot this weekend, so so I caught.
You missed college football, huh?
I did. In fact, I missed. I missed the NFL games on Sunday also. So I just happened to not be around. So those are ones I'm going to kind of take a peek at later today, just to kind of see if there's any players that pop before I, start talking about all these rosters going from 90 to 53. There's going to be some players that, aren't making rosters that are good.
I got a couple of names. We're going to talk about it a little later in the show. I'm kind of shocked by some of them. Like, oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's like usually around this time when you get from 90 to 53, theoretically, the name that come off is like, if you're casual, you don't know who they are.
Yeah.
Who's that? But there's some name I'm like, oh, I know him. He was started.
And it's a unique approach this time because they shortened the preseason, right, to add that 17th game. And instead of having the progressive cuts that they used to, right? Remember how it used to be like you'd have after the first 2 games, there'd be some cuts, and then the third game there'd be some cuts, and the fourth game they had to actually like hit that 53. It's interesting that now it's just you have them till the end and you got to do it all at once. Like that's got to make that room even harder as a coach, right? At least if you were progressively doing it, you're like, okay, these guys kind of aren't stacking up. But now you got to try and get all of those guys kicked off your team in 1 week. Like that's brutal.
Yeah, man. Some of these names, I'm like, these guys are not. They're not bad. I mean, might be dealing with injury, but I mean, like, who isn't? You know, it's like,
yeah.
I'm shocked. But maybe I'm the only one that's shocked. We'll find out when we get into that part of the show. But college football is back, man. There have been some talk. I think you and I discussed a few times about the ACC and them adding some names to their conference. I didn't realize that. I almost forgot about SMU. Yeah, they're kind of the name that I don't know how it got past us the past couple of weeks that we've been doing this, but I think they've been asked, you know, if they want to be a member of the ACC, they got to forego their conference revenue for 5 to 7 years.
Oh,
that sounds like a big ask.
That is a huge ask.
Yeah, SMU can be. Yeah, you get a chance to be in the ACC. That's probably a lot better than what you had.
Sure.
But almost 5 to 7 years of revenue, you got to forego that just to be a part of your club.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
I didn't know that was the ask for them to that's nuts. Like that'd be hard as a college to take that on.
That is going to be hard. I mean, they with the AAC right now, and like I told you, I think it was last week, or week before. I don't even know who the AAC is. I had to go and look them up. Yeah. I mean, now that I have, I see what's going on, but I don't know who they are. The AAC, I think they went. I didn't know that they took some teams from. The article said that they rated the Conference USA and pulled 16. They had Charlotte, Florida Atlantic, North Texas, Rice, UAB, and UTSA. I don't even know who UTSA is. I'm just going to be honest about it.
Yeah, I don't either.
I don't get that deep into college football. I'm not that deep into. I have no idea who that is. But just to be honest, but they are all part of the AAC now, and it's like the SMU. I mean, they got some. They have moderate success in that conference. So I mean, if they want to be front runners, staying there probably wouldn't hurt them if that's their goal. But they want to have a bigger radius and they want to be seen in more places. Going to the ACC might make sense. They actually predicted to win the AAC. They stay, but they have ambition to be joining a Power 5 conference for a long time now. So, what do you think? Do you think they should stay in the AAC, or do you think the ACC and that 5 to 7 year prison sentence is a good idea? What do you think?
I mean, it depends on what it is they want to do with their football program. If they're happy with where it is, then the AAC makes sense. If you want to elevate your recruiting and your football program as a whole, the ACC is probably where you go, even though you're going to take a pretty big hit. That being said, who knows what the television contract is for the AAC? It may not be that big of a deal. I mean, they may not really be making money from it.
From the ACC?
From the AAC, where they currently are?
Yeah.
They may, I mean, who knows what their TV contract is? Maybe they're not really making a whole lot of money and not revenue sharing from the ACC. Maybe it doesn't matter that much.
I have no idea. I could go look it up.
That's something I will probably look up just because I'm curious what it is.
I can go look it up too, but I don't want to. I'll let you go ahead and do that.
No. I don't mean while we're on the show. I'm just curious.
You tell me what's going on with that one, but I'll pass on that one. But a little chatter in college football, and this was a topic of discussion. As a matter of fact, about 12 noon Saturday morning, they were already talking about. I'm like, wow, that's the first thing they're talking about. They were talking about Georgia being in line for. Okay, there we go. Herman Rogers podcast. Good morning, guys. They helped me out with the UTSA situation. University of Texas, San Antonio Roadrunners. Thank you, sir, because I would not have known that.
Not at all.
I don't think I'm just one of their games, to be honest. But I'm trying to watch more college football outside of Michigan, outside of the Big Ten, outside of the 12. So I'm working on it, man. So y'all guys be patient with me. Sorry, UTSA, if you got any fans out here. Hope I didn't offend you. Just didn't know who you were. My bad. But with Georgia, are they in legit in line to have a historic third natty, which is like something that hasn't been done since 1936, something like that. So it's been and they have an easy schedule, which is like it kind of ticks me off. I'm like, wow, make it easier for them to go ahead and break this record. But what are their chances, you think, to have their third natty? What do you think about that?
I mean, it's tough to three-peat, right? It's why it's never been done in the NFL. And even if you have an easier schedule, they did lose like half their defense in the draft.
They definitely did.
You know, and so they have a lot of new pieces. I don't know that they really. I think they're going to be in the conversation, but I don't know that they win a third.
Well, I'm of the mind, and this is a little bit biased, but I don't care. It's my show. Say what I want. But when it comes to this situation, I don't think they're going to do it either. In my opinion, I said this on our friends Herb and Raj podcast last Tuesday. Please go check it out on YouTube. The Herb and Raj podcast. We was on there, and I was in charge of sharing about the Big Ten. And we had such a fun time. It's an awesome show anyway, but it was really fun for me to be on there. Me and my boy Mike from the Air Raid podcast. He was doing I think he was doing Big 12. I think it was Oklahoma. Big Okie fan. And I was talking about the Michigan Wolverines. So you know what? This is the year. If you don't do it now, it's not getting done. I think we have about 25 guys going into the draft, supposedly.
Yep.
It's like, and almost all of them are starters. I don't mean no guys from special teams. I'm talking about starters. Like starters on the line. I think 5 or 6 off of the line going to the draft. Two running backs and a couple of wide receivers going into the draft. We're getting gutted. Yep. So for me, I'm like, this has to be the year. I'm not gonna sit here and pound the table and talk about Michigan next year and the year after that. I'm not. I promised on that show. I'm sitting on my own show too. I'm not doing that kind of stuff anymore. They don't do this year. I'm still wearing maize and blue. I've been repping them since '84. I'm gonna keep on doing that. I ain't doing no more talking. This is it.
Yep.
This has to be the year. You can't come back from losing that many guys off your roster, like Cornelius and Roman. You can't come back from that so easily. Yep. And just plug and play. That's not how that works with some of this stuff. And JJ's going too. Mm-hmm. So it's like we can't just. In the backup, the guy, his name escaping me right now, but he was from Temple, I think it was, or Rutgers. Transfer. He ain't all that great. Yeah, right. But he ain't all that great. So for me, I'm like,
to your point, this is exactly why I don't think Georgia is going to get a third. Right? You lose that many players, it's going to be tough to consistently win games. And I agree with you. This is Michigan's year. If they're going to get it done, this is it. Because I would bet with everybody leaving, this is also when Harbaugh takes that NFL job.
This is it right here. And I think Herb or Raj asked me on their show about Harbaugh. I said, first of all, I'm not married to Harbaugh, number one. Mm-hmm. Nostalgia, that's all nice and everything. You did some great things. You did some things that previous coaches could not do as it pertains to beating Ohio State, number one.
Yep.
But and some Big Ten championships. But at the end of the day, what's it about? It's about the natty, right? Good morning, Mom. She said good morning to us this morning. It's about the natty. And when that's not happening, it's like all the nostalgia go out the window. For me, this is it right here. This is no hyperbole, man. I'm not trying to hype my own show. I'm dead serious about this. This is it right here. If you don't do it this year, don't come talking to me about nothing. I don't want to hear it. Because this is too many opportunities right here. And this probably is going to be the best one because we got continuity, no coaching changes. Everybody in the system kind of understand what's happening. This is the best chance we're going to get. And the record, I think it was like 2-6, 2-7 with Harbaugh in the playoffs. It's not pretty. Yeah. So this is it right here. If you don't do this in the regular season, I know we're going to probably go undefeated in the regular season. I got pretty much confidence about that part, but that's not my issue. It's that playoff. When we get there, we play like a different team. We play tentative. We don't adjust well. It's different. I'm like, why? It's the same people in here. Mm-hmm. So this is the year right here, but let's keep on moving, man. So I think you and I are in agreement. Georgia does not repeat and get a natty. Hopefully, Michigan is in their place and not them. Hopefully, I'm hearing all this talk about Caleb Williams. Now, I don't know where it's coming from. Honestly, I didn't see a lot of games with USC. I've seen some, but not a whole lot. They call him the next Patrick Mahomes. I'm like, really? So, do you see that? I mean, talk about him being the only can he be the only second back-to-back Heisman winner, which is like a possibility.
Yeah.
But is he the next Patrick Mahomes? And what does that mean?
I mean, he has a ton of talent. So anything's possible. But Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes because of fit, right? Had he gone to a terrible, completely dysfunctional team, he wouldn't be the guy that you see out there, right? Same with if they had ran him out week one, probably wouldn't be the guy he is. He was able to sit behind Alex Smith and learn some things. And it's why I like having quarterbacks have the ability to sit for a year, because let's be honest, most of them aren't ready to go sling the rock week one, their rookie season. They're just not. Most of them need a little bit of time to kind of get their shit together.
Copy that. Oh, language. You know what this show's about, man. They call me Mr. U. This ain't about no. I mean, I get that though, man. I get that because that's a. When somebody said the next so and so, I just cringe every time. I'm like, are we really doing that again? The hype train. Come on, man. Let's just stop that part. But you know, I don't know if he's that. I mean, I watched a couple of USC games. I don't know if I saw that. I saw a glimpse of the thing that might be comparable to what Mahomes does in and out of the pocket and stuff, but I'm not there, man. But what do you think about him as far as, I know we're kind of ahead of ourselves and we kind of off topic a little bit too, but that's what I do. But what do you think about him in the NFL? Do you see him as, make a comparison for me. He gets drafted in the NFL, wherever he gets drafted. I don't know where it's going to be at. Where do you see him at QB comparison wise? If it's not Mahomes, who do you compare him to coming in that say, you know what, he's like this, you're going to have this level of success?
I mean, provided he lands somewhere that is a decent team, right? Not just complete dysfunction. Say it's a middle of the road team. I could see him having kind of Joe Burrow-ish type success. Like he's not going to be. I wouldn't imagine that he's going to be on that Mahomes trajectory, but I mean, Joe Burrow is a decent comp.
Okay. Now I'm curious about where he'd end up going, because he's not going to the Texans and the Colts because that part's been taken care of now. So I wonder where he ends up. Now I'm really curious about that. I'd love to.
Cardinals.
Huh?
Cardinals, maybe.
That makes sense.
Cardinals are just shipping people out at this point.
That makes sense. If you're not keeping Kyler. That makes a lot of sense.
So that's the thing, is that organization seems like they're kind of tired of Kyler. So they may end up taking the approach of the Eagles with Carson Wentz, where they're just like, here's your money, please go somewhere else. Right? Like they ate $44 million for him to go somewhere else. Like that was a huge cap hit to just get him out the building. And so they may ultimately do something like that, because you're not going to pay a rookie quarterback, right? That quarterback plays real cheap compared to, someone else. So maybe you bring him in, so it could be a fit similar to that. He could end up, somewhere like Tampa, right? Because I mean, they're not exactly going to set the world on fire with Baker as your number one. They're going to win some games, but they're not going to be amazing.
I don't think they're going to fall that much talent.
Well, no, but they can move draft picks around to go get somebody, and they'll be low enough that they won't have to give up the world to go get him, right? It's not like it's going to be a perennial favorite that is trying to go get a first, overall pick that will have to move heaven and earth to get there. If they are, in the 6th or 7th spot, you give up your pick and then, maybe 2 future ones, and you can probably go get him, to move up 4 or 5 spots.
I think we need to find out what Kyler's contract situation is, because I feel like it's a brand new contract that he just signed.
It is, but I mean, you'd be able to move him, so you wouldn't necessarily have to eat all of it wherever he moved, because there'd be teams that would be interested.
Well, yeah, I'm with you there. I'm talking about because
so those teams would pick up some of the price tag, and then Arizona would be on the hook for some of the price tag. So it would just kind of come down to, what it is that looks like. Although, with the Arizona situation, they may double down on Kyler, move off of that number 1 overall pick and get a ton of picks for it, and, do a fast rebuild on their roster with a bunch of rookies.
I'm almost positive that's not going to happen.
No, I mean, me either. But
it's just like they got too many issues. I'm talking about old D-line. You can't put Caleb Williams behind something like that. He needs time.
Yep.
That O-line stinks right now. He needs time, and he probably moves like Kyler and plays like Kyler, but you don't want to put a rookie back there. That's not fair. So let's keep going. I don't want to stay on the NFL just yet. I want to come back to the NFL in a little bit. But podcast dropped some knowledge on us from the Orlando Sentinel. If you can see that the AAC reported they had $183 million in revenue, which is a lot more than I thought.
That is a ton more than I thought.
I think it's a 94% increase from their $93 million last year. So wow, that's almost 100%. So I don't know if that's going to go SMU to staying around, but good stats on that one. Herb and Raj podcast. Thank you so much again.
Absolutely.
Our boy Mike from the Air Raid Attack podcast. Good morning, brother.
Hey.
Talk's already beginning. It's already starting. I was just hoping I would just be competent on this show because these guys do.
I'll do my best.
These guys do what they do very, very well. So I was like, I can't go out here and screw up. So I was really concerned about that. Oh, you're in the hot seat, brother, because me and Mike had time, and I think the bar got raised, baby. So but yeah, okay. I want to get off. Despite the comment, things shake back. I want to go ahead and jump into still stay in the college football for a minute. All right, so there's so much here, but there's so much stuff. This new down rule situation, man. What do you think about that? Have you heard about it? I get to go.
So I haven't read real far into it, but because I'm curious if it still applies to if it's an incomplete pass, the clock stops. Right. So, I mean, if that's the case, then it's not necessarily the biggest thing. So, its biggest factor would be off of running plays. Right.
Well, the clock's going to keep going after a first down instead of stopping.
Yeah. So, I mean, it'll speed up the game in that way. But I mean, if it runs out of bounds, like that's the thing that I didn't read is it going to continue to run? Say you get a first down, but you run out of bounds. Is it going to still run in that scenario, or is it going to stop like it always did? So there's some elements to that rule that I haven't read up on yet. But yeah, I mean, stopping the clock to move the chains. I mean, they don't do that anywhere else. So like,
I'd be assuming, it sounds like they're trying to say that they would. It's just an assumption. I guess the exception is the final 2 minutes of every half.
Yep.
Is what actually, stop the clock. But I don't know. Weird stuff. All right, I want to talk to Bama real quick. Can Bama win the West with defense in the run? Because they're having some issues at quarterback. I know Herb and Wiles talk about that a lot in their show because they are big Bama fans.
Mm-hmm.
But can Bama win the West with defense in the run?
I mean, it's possible.
Quarterback. I mean,
yeah.
In the conference, I think it is possible, but just wondering what you got to Herb and Wiles. What do you guys think, man? Can Bama win the West with just defense in the run? What do you guys think? I'll put them on the spot. I know that, but
no, I mean, I think they can. You could win that with probably one loss, I would think.
Okay, all right. We also know that. Have you heard about what happened at Iowa with Perrins? You heard about his contract? No. It's kind of funny, but I never heard it. I can't recall hearing it before. They have to score 25 points a game and get at least 7 wins to keep him in Iowa. That's the weirdest I've ever heard of in my life.
That is weird.
Yeah, you're the OC, so you have a vested interest in higher offensive totals. But if you don't score 25 points every game and at least 7 wins, you get fired.
That seems insane.
That's imagine that in your real job.
Yeah, right. That'd be like, say you're a sales guy, and they're like, if you're not the number one sales guy every week, you're out. It's like, what about the other like 50 weeks I just had at number one? And
if you don't put 150 cover sheets a day on your TPS reports,
yeah, right. Exactly.
Like, really? This is what's happening. This is really, really funny. Wow.
Oh man.
There's a guy named Travis Hunter. You heard of him before?
Say it again.
Travis Hunter. You familiar with him? I think he's with Colorado with Dion.
Okay.
And he plays cornerback and wide receiver. It's not really a new phenomenon. Charles Woodson did it at Michigan. Jabril Peppers did it. Adoree Jackson did it as well. Do you think he should do that? He's had multiple injury issues, and this is Colorado's. This is kind of their coming out party. Do you think that he should play cornerback and wide receiver? This is a curious question because in those situations with Woodson and Jabril Peppers and Adoree Jackson, they did it in spots. They weren't considered a wide receiver one. I mean, they were a CB1, and they played wide receiver in some sets when it was a necessity, I guess you could say. But Travis Hunter's going to be playing it much more frequently than them, like almost on an almost semi-regular basis. Good idea or bad idea?
I mean, it depends on how much time he's on the field, right? Because you don't need him, especially if he's your corner, right? You don't want him gassed by the fourth quarter because he played too many offensive snaps. So, I mean, if they're using him, kind of like they did the other guys where it's in sets, in certain situations, yeah, no, I don't mind going, having players go both ways because, that's just exciting, fun to watch. But I mean, again, at the end of the day, you got to make sure that he's just not absolutely spent by the end of the game. Because if your best players are too tired by the end, you're probably still going to lose, right? So there's 4 quarters to football. Fourth quarter is super important.
That's when you get hurt in most any sport. When you injured, that's we had that when you're tired, I should say.
Yep.
That's when you have a more of a chance to get hurt because you get sloppy.
Yep.
Your footwork's not the same. Your breathe might not be the same. Just a lot of bad things. And he has a history of injury issues already. So I'm not quite sure what Dion's doing with that. But we're going to be watching because supposedly Colorado's going to shock the world. So we want to watch and see that happen, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're curious no matter what, right? I mean, he comes in, he lets everybody go. People lose their mind, which didn't make any sense because why would you bring a lot of people back from a 1-11 team? I'm not really sure why people were so mad about that.
Oh, know why they were mad. Don't be cute. You know why they were mad. You know why.
You want to win.
But you know how the old guard is, and you come in there and mess with tradition. And come on now. Don't make me say it on this show. You know.
If your tradition isn't good, change your tradition, man.
We won one game, right? We probably that one game we won. Man,
yeah, I'm not trying to hang on to something that isn't working.
Or they're gonna hurt me wild. So we're Bama fans. We're gonna think that we can win the West with either of us. Who do you like in their first game? TCU or Colorado? But that's who's playing each other in their first game. I'm gonna try to watch that game if possible. TCU and Colorado. Who's winning that?
I'm gonna lean Colorado because that team is gonna be hyped coming out. They're gonna be hyped coming out.
Oh my goodness! All right.
I don't think they're gonna be an amazing team. I think they're probably like a maybe 500, just under 500. Like I don't think Colorado is gonna be amazing, but week 1. They're going to come out with their hair on fire, ready to go. Because that's Dion, right? That's a Dion influence. Like those kids are going to be hyped.
I don't think this is now people going to smash me for this, and you know what? I'm here for it. But I don't think TCU is a great team. I felt that same way about it last year too, despite what happened to Michigan. I'm gonna say right now, I still feel the same way about it. I don't think they should have gone as far as they did and done what they've done. I don't think the talent was comparable to teams like ours and some other teams that probably shouldn't have been in the playoffs ahead of them. That being said, I think that they're going to give Colorado the business this time around.
Okay, all right.
I
mean, it's going to be a fun game to watch.
I don't think Colorado is ready for that just yet. But again, I could be wrong. Let's keep moving, man, because we got a NFL we haven't even touched yet. But again, college football just started Saturday, so I was expecting to be heavy college football. I kind of expect that to happen. No worries there. All right. Heisman predictions. Everybody saying USC, Caleb Williams, your boy from Washington, Penix Jr. I watched several of his games. I think it was last year. Definitely last year. I don't know if it was the year before too. But he might not be the best quarterback in college football, but most electrifying. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that qualifies. I think he led with like over 4,600 passing yards.
Mm-hmm.
He can make the throws that few quarterbacks can make. So, what do you think about him? How about Drake May, North Carolina? What do you think about these guys in the Heisman running? Who do you like there? Do you have a thought about it, or is it too early for you?
So, I mean, obviously, it's early, but they don't like to give the Heisman to the same guy twice. So I'm gonna give a lean to Penix Jr. Yeah.
Wow.
Washington. I'm gonna get a lean that way again, just because they don't typically give the high. I mean, unless Williams comes out and absolutely lights it up. But if they have similar numbers, he doesn't win it twice.
Shakeback says tradition can be the enemy of growth.
It's true.
Tell to them boys out there. I hope Colorado grows because we talked about it last week on the show. I think Bo hasn't changed his mind, haven't changed minds either. I don't like the whole Colorado project. I'm putting it out there. It ain't personal. Ain't nothing against Deion. I don't think it's going to be more than about 2 years. His eyes are going to be looking somewhere else. Just my personal opinion. We'll see if it's true. It's documented. My words are on YouTube like forever, so I can't run from them. But I think this project has a couple of years in it, and I think he's going to be looking for another team. I think Bo agreed with me. Have you changed your mind about that? You still feel the same?
No. I still think that's true. It's going to depend on the level of success he has, right? If he flounders a little bit, then he may have to be there a little bit longer. If he has success immediately, then yeah, you're going to see NFL teams start calling.
Sweet deal. All right. Just another couple of quick questions for college to be going to the NFL. All right. So what do you think about now? I think this is Penix Jr.'s probably not going to be a big problem for him, but he's going to be 24 years old getting drafted.
Sure.
That doesn't happen very often. I think Kenny Pickett would at that place at 23 years old. Phil Simms was around the same age.
I mean, Stetson Bennett's like 30, right?
I mean, it feels like it's pretty old. Do you think there's an impact on him going into the NFL at that age? Do you think there's an impact there, or is it just?
So it'll have an impact, but I think it'll end up similar to what Stetson Bennett just did, right? Because Stetson Bennett is 25, I think, and the Rams went and got him. And, actually a really nice pickup for the Rams because he plays similar to Stafford. So if Stafford gets hurt, has to leave, style of play is kind of a plug and play kind of player. He's played in huge situations, winning back-to-back natties, right? So, I mean, I think that he could have a similar situation, especially if he happens to be a finalist for the Heisman or wins the Heisman. That'll help his draft stock as well. But will he be a number one pick? Probably not, solely because he's a little bit older than, maybe some teams would like.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right. One last college football question, kind of putting you on the spot there. Until next year we're going to have a 12-team college football playoff. But this year, we still have 4. Most folks think it's going to be Georgia, Michigan, and OSU in some way, shape, or form to be a shoe-in for the playoff. I agree with that. Who's the 4th team for you? You got USC, you got Alabama. Who do you like as that 4th team in this year's college football playoff? It's a prediction, but yes, we do. We have fun with it. So what do you think?
Yeah, so this is one where it's going to sound like I'm a homer, but but I'm not really. So I'm going to go with Washington sneaks into that 4th spot. And why I say that is they were basically there last year until the last week. So if they take any kind of step forward from what they produced last year, they're right there.
So tell me how they get. Now tell me now with USC, that's one of the common names that we're hearing so much about.
Yep.
In that 4th spot, predicted. What's the path for Washington to get there over USC?
Well, I mean, they're all winning the Pac-12. Obviously, is the one of the key elements right there. That Pac-12 championship may be the thing. Plus, it's probably going to be the last one, right? So there's going to be there's going to be a lot of voters watching that because it's going to be the last year. And let's be honest, the way that the college football playoff is set up currently, voting has a huge part of it.
Copy that. We're going into NFL, man. We got a little bit more time left in the show. Off the top of your head, man, what's the most intriguing week 1 matchup for you? Off the top of your head.
It's got to be Bills Jets for me.
How come?
So why it's intriguing is so Josh Allen showed some regression through last year, especially towards the end of the season, right? Okay. Plus, you have a lot of just noise from that organization, especially with the Diggs drama, right? So there's a lot of just kind of turmoil within that organization, even though I still think they're the best team in that division. There's a lot of turmoil and noise around that organization, and that usually doesn't work out well for that next season. And then on the other end of it, you got the Jets, right? So Rodgers is there. You saw him for 5 minutes in one preseason game. So you don't really know what he is yet, right? Because he rolled out there against a team that wasn't rolling their starters out. So of course he looked good because you weren't going against starters anyway, right?
Well, I'm not going to go that far and say he looked good.
No. But I mean, like,
I'm not ready to say that because I watched a good bit of the game as much as I could stand.
Sure.
But I'm not going to say he looked good. He didn't look bad, but
yeah, well, that's what I mean. Like it looked like football, but it wasn't against starters, right? And so I think this is going to be interesting to watch because you're going to see that Jets defense. So you're going to be able to kind of figure out if they're going to play at the same level they did last year. You're going to see the Bills offense, and if there's a chemistry issue between Diggs and Allen, because there might be now. You have an offseason where Rodgers was actually involved, which is kind of weird based on what he has done over the last 5 years. Are the, younger players around him, are they going to be able to connect consistently, especially in high pressure situations? So there's a lot of things you're going to see in this first game. Now, obviously it's game 1, and it's not like any of these teams are going to go undefeated. So it may not ultimately matter, but it'll give you the first look at a couple of teams that have a ton of hype about them right there, first week, Monday night.
I'm going to answer that question, but first, shout out to Herb and Rod podcast. They gave us the answer to that Kyler Murray contract. I knew it was high, but I didn't think it was that many years. 5 years.
Yep.
$230 million with $160 million guaranteed. Bo, your scenario is not happening.
No, honestly, the scenario I really think is going to happen is they're going to move off that number 1. They're going to get a ton of picks for it, and they're going to, try and rebuild their team with all these picks.
So where's Caleb going to go? I'm excited about it. I'm like, wow, who's it going to be? That's going to be rise to the number 1. Wow, I'm excited about this. Okay. I got a feeling now, based on how much time we got left, the rookie watch ain't happening until next week.
Yep.
I don't think we can touch it. But answer the question about my most intriguing week 1. Now, I'm really interested in Miami and the Chargers for a couple of reasons. As a matter of fact, Detroit and Kansas City are going week 1 as well, which is like a really strange matchup for week 1.
Yeah. Well, and they're the kickoff game.
Right? NFC, that's weird. I don't think that happens very often, but those two games intrigue me because Detroit's getting tested right out of the gate.
Mm-hmm.
Every Twitter poll I put out, everything I'm reading about, Detroit is supposed to be the incumbent now that Rodgers is out of the conference. So Detroit's supposed to be that one. It's like hands down. Like everybody's saying Lions, Lions, Lions. Nobody's saying the Vikings, the Bears. It's just Lions constantly. Now they're facing the Super Bowl champions out of the gate. It's going to be intriguing. I'm intrigued with the Chargers in Miami because they both kind of they have an opportunity to take a step. Nobody's predicting them to win Super Bowls. I'm not hearing that anyways. But they've been predicted to take a step into that direction. And that means, of course, Tua has to be healthy, obviously. Everything got to come together offensively. They better get Wilkins signed. I can tell you that right now. Because they can't get Wilkins signed. And right now, he's holding out and nothing's happening, no discussions. That's not a good sign if you want to play the Chargers because they got some really big weapons out there. Matter of fact, all their weapons are big. Everybody's 6'4" and high out there. Yep. So it's not a game. You better have that kind of stuff hammered down. So those two games intrigue me. At the end of the day, it's probably going to be Cowboys and Giants, though. I mean, they met in the opener, I think 6 out of 7 times, 7 years, 6 times out of 7 years. The Giants are always the road team. Not sure what that's about. You know what I'm saying? But the rookies get tested. I mean, we got some really talented rookies coming in, but they can get tested immediately. Dallas won 11 of the last 12. So for me, the X factor is DJ because everybody, I mean, not everybody, but there's a couple of folks. I think Brian Baldinger and somebody else said that they think that the Giants are a Super Bowl contender. I don't fall for that. I don't listen to that because I want to see if they can game to game, week to week. But I don't think we should be counted out of it.
Yep.
If DJ plays the way I think he can play, we can be right there in the mix for NFC conference title game. I think it can happen. But that's the game for me. No moral victories, not a close game for a loss. We got to pull a W out. It's a tone setter. I think our rookies are already super confident. They think they can beat anybody anyway. They already had that kind of moxie about them already. So for them to beat the Cowboys week 1, that's going to be like nitroglycerin the next time they play again. It's going to be hard for the Eagles too because the confidence level is going to be so high. So this game it means that much for them to win this one. But any other intriguing games you're thinking about for week 1 or just that the one you named?
No, so I did share the one with you on the Thursday night season kickoff, Lions Chiefs. That's going to be fun to watch because it'll be a good litmus test to what the Lions are. I think I agree with most people that they probably are the division winners there. Or at least it's theirs to lose because the Vikings take a step back. There's no way you're going to win 12 one possession games again. Like that's unheard of. The odds of you winning all of those is so low. Do I think they'll still be a solid team? Sure. Do I think they do what they did last year? Definitely not. The Bears, who knows what they are? We'll probably know what they are about week 10 because Fields will finally have the ability to throw the ball, right? And then Green Bay, I mean, Love actually has looked pretty solid in the preseason. So, we'll see what it is, but it's preseason. It doesn't really mean anything. So get him out there with number 1 defenses and, we'll see how that stacks up. But as it sits, you got the Lions probably winning that. KC's winning theirs. So that'll be a good battle to start the year off.
Cool. All right. So Back It Up Binge Podcast said, good morning. What's up, guys?
Hey.
We got so many questions out here. We got some listener questions from our people. And I already kind of promised all over social media that we're going to answer some questions. So let's do that. Hopefully we got time for our game, hopefully. But we got to answer these questions and talk to our people. So we got a question from my man, Josh Ingram. Big supporter of the show. Love you, bro. He says, are the Miami Dolphins really serious about adding an elite running back? Why are they not giving serious offers for one if they are? And how does that negatively affect the current running back room? What do you think, brother?
Well, I mean, they're obviously not because there's been elite running backs on the board since the end of last season. So they clearly aren't, they would bring one in at a discount, but no one wants to take a discount. So they're probably going to roll out the way they are. if they brought someone in, I don't know how negative it would affect the current running back room. I mean, you're trying to win, right? So if they bring someone in, you better show why you're better. That's always compete kind of idea.
There's something wrong with that to me. Only because, and I agree with Josh. I'm trying to figure out why they're not making a real push for this, knowing what you already know about your team. Mm-hmm. For example, when Dalvin Cook was on the street, so to speak, right? The Dolphins were one of the first names that we heard. We didn't talk about it on the show, I don't think, but that was one of the first names that we heard.
Yep.
I'm not sure there was a visit, I'm not sure there was an offer, anything, but nothing happened. And he kind of sat for a little while. Mm-hmm. I forgot how long it was, but it was at least a week, maybe two, before the Jets' name started stirring in this. I'm like, how could that be when you got Raheem Mostert as your lead back? Now, I like him. I liked him from the Niners. As a matter of fact, when I was playing fantasy, I was using Raheem Mostert. I was drafting him every time. I feel like it was a steal. Mm-hmm. People let him slip. I would pick him up, and I was getting some production out of him. I mean, on paper, I thought he was great, but he's the lead right now. And behind him is Jeff Wilson, two guys from the Niners who you saw what they dealt with, injury issues.
Yep.
Both of them. And now that's your number one and number two back there. And the guys that I know Ahmed is still back there. He played limited time because the league guys are injured. So you got a problem out there at running back. You're not addressing it. Why have you not invited Kareem Hunt to visit your building?
Or Jonathan Taylor at this point.
That's a name that popped up, but what happened though? This little low silence, and then nothing. And now we're talking about him going to Philly. I'm like, maybe perhaps they're talking to Taylor right now, but the whole point is that you should be talking to everybody that has RB after their name, because most of it has a long history of injury issues, and Wilson's not much better in that regard. You should be doing something. So I hope we answered Josh's question. They should be serious about getting a running back in there. I think Kareem Hunt is probably the best option if Taylor's not coming in.
Well,
that's not what's happening, is it? So
they may also be hanging out for some of these cuts because like I'm going to talk about a little bit later. There's a guy that balled out for the Seahawks in SaRodorick Thompson Jr. that probably doesn't make their roster. That would be a good fit somewhere else. And, are you going to pay top dollar, or are you going to pick up a rookie that is potentially going to be on the bubble somewhere?
All right. Let's speak to some of these comments and questions. Back of the Bench podcast says Miami at 10, 11 wins. And one of the losses is going to be at the Chargers. You could be right. It's a low game with Herbert and Bosa. I get that. Shakeback says that the Cardinals have shown the propensity to trade quarterbacks. Kyler won't play this year.
Yep.
All right. 5-year deal. I don't know. He's not going to play?
No, because he's not going to be available anyway. He's not going to be available week one. He's still coming off his injury. So you're going to roll out with Colt McCoy. It's the last year of his career or his contract anyway. So rather than bring in Kyler to play half of a season you already concede is probably not going to, produce much fruit. You probably
I wish the guys can give them a sweet trade for somebody who just signed a 5-year contract. I doubt that very highly. But I don't think he gets traded.
If they do, it's because they just want him out of the building. But then what are you left with? I guess you're left with the draft, but
he still has to play, Bo. If he doesn't play, nobody's going to want to mess with him because they wonder if he's actually healthy. He has to play, or they can't tell you that. Back in the Bench podcast, Dolphin said, I seen this guy's name, Devon Kane, I guess it is, their draft pick. He's injured, third with elite speed. Yeah, I appreciate that, but you got to get another running back in the building, at least one or two.
Well, and it's tough if you're already hurt.
Not a great start, right?
Exactly.
Here's another question we got from YouTube Patrols. I don't like the Cowboys. What do you think about Deuce? Who's Deuce?
Oh, Deuce Vaughn, their running back, the dude that's 5'5". He's basically Darren Sproles. And
I remember him now.
And he is fast, and his footwork is amazing. So the Seahawks got to play him in week 2 of the preseason, and so we got a nice look at him. The kid's fast. The kid's fast. I think the biggest question for me is when he actually gets smashed by some of those dudes up front, because he was able to mostly miss them, and the height definitely plays a factor in it because it's hard to pick up in the backfield. So a lot of times he's getting tackled by linebackers and secondary guys. But if he gets a couple of good hits by an edge or a tackle or something, like it's gonna be interesting to see what his durability is.
And I don't mean no harm. Last thing I want to do is offend anybody. That's not my goal. It happens every week, but I'm not trying to do that. This sounds like special teams to me. Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't see him replacing Ezekiel Elliott. I hope that's not nobody's thoughts. I don't think that's happening. I think he's gonna be on special teams.
Well, Zeke's not on the team though.
Huh?
Zeke's not there though.
I know. I'm saying he's not gonna replace Zeke on the team.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, he's definitely probably not your third down back, but but yeah, at first, second down, just because of his speed and his ability to move around. I mean, he's going to be fun to watch, especially as a change of pace back from Pollard.
Special teams. Special. That's what's happening. So we got. You want to try to get the game going, man, or we are shutting down for the day?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah. All right, you're a gamer. I love it. We're going over, but it's all good. We're going to play a game called NFL Hot, Cold, and Warm. Hot, you're really excited and intrigued. Cold, little to no interest. Warm, you're paying attention. The jury's out. Make sense?
Let's go.
All right. Hear you. All right. Isaiah Simmons to the Giants. Hot, cold, or warm?
I'm warm. I'm intrigued by that.
Fair enough. Trey Lance on the Cowboys for a 4th round pick. Hot, cold, or warm?
Hot, just for the dysfunction of it.
Well, because be specific.
Well, so you have Dak saying, what's that?
Faster.
Yeah. So Dak said all this stuff about it's Super Bowl or bust. I'm not going to throw a ton of picks, and then threw tons of picks in, camp and everything. So you're going to have Lance in there trying to push him, or at least that's their thought. And they may push him all the way out.
Ooh. Jerry Jeudy out for several weeks.
Yeah, it's too bad.
The Broncos are predicted to win the division. I mean, the division.
Where they say that at?
Matter of fact, I'm wondering if that might be the case too. I might be on a train too. I'm not sure.
I don't know where they're saying that nonsense. The Broncos may not make the playoffs. There's so many teams in the AFC. There's going to be a 10-win team that doesn't make it, and I mean, I don't even know if they're a 10-win team.
They got a lot of talent though.
They do.
Josh Dobbs trade to the Arizona.
It's not going to matter.
Is that cold? Say the words, man.
That's putting flex tape on the Titanic. I don't think it's going to put the ship back together.
I'll take that as cold. Thank you. All right, Tua and Ryan Clark.
Say it again.
Tua and Ryan Clark. No issue between them.
Warm. We'll see what it is.
Michael Jordan, Stephen A. Smith text about Steph Curry and Magic Johnson. Hot, cold, or warm?
Cold. I don't care.
Jonathan Taylor, trade partner. They say Miami, the Bears, or the Eagles. 6 teams reached out. 2 offers were made, but nothing settled. Hot, cold, or warm?
So warm. Like I'm intrigued about it, but it's the running back situation of this whole offseason. So I mean, at this point, I'm just kind of bored with it. Find a team. Let's go. It's week 1.
Oh, wow.
It's week 1. Let's play some football. Let's play some football.
Josh Jacobs back in Las Vegas on a 1-year deal?
So warm, because you want to be able to see if he can duplicate what he did last year, and that team needs him, because with Jimmy G under center, you need a running back.
Copy that. Chris Jones still sitting out.
Warm, just interested to see if he actually sits all the way out, or if they get something together before week 1.
Oh my goodness! Wow. Last one might make you laugh. Carson Wentz. KC's interested in him. I don't even know. I couldn't even say it without laughing. I'm like, the Chiefs. Why? Why do you want him on your team? What do you think happened?
So warm, intrigued for no other reason than stat-wise, he actually puts up good stats when he goes places. Like, he had good stats when he went with the Colts. It's a personality thing that seems to get him off teams. So I'm curious how that fits together, and that's why I'm warm on that, just because I'm similar to the Trey Lance to the Cowboys. There's going to be some dysfunction there, and I'm curious how that plays out.
That's going to be so weird. I mean, I know Blaine Gabbert is the backup back there, but I mean, he actually did good in the spots where he was a backup.
For sure.
Why do you need Carson Wentz to improve on the?
Well, so that begs the question: are they starting to think that Mahomes is going to get hurt more often?
Who runs the offense? There you go.
Right.
And there's that. But man, great show today.
Absolutely.
Had fun. We didn't touch all of our NFL stuff, but you know what? That's what happens because we have so much to talk about. And we have fun with it, and we break it down. And all of our listeners out there, thank you again for listening to the show. And of course, Bo, tell them where you can find you.
Yeah, so you can find me here on YouTube at Football-Talk. My Twitter handle there, or X, or whatever it is you want to call it. I guess it's not up there.
What happened to the bird? Bring back the bird.
The bird got the X, I guess. So that is Football Talk with Bo. And pretty much every other social media is Football Talk with Bo as well.
And as always, please subscribe to our podcast. We definitely appreciate you pressing that little white button. Subscribe to our YouTube channels as well. It ain't going to kill you. Press the little white button and magic happens. It's not hard. But thank you guys for supporting us, for liking us. Like Bo says, liking us. Share it with your friends and family. Subscribe to the pod and the YouTube channels. Great things are going to happen. Let's be friends, right? So thanks for doing that so much. And thank you for joining the show wherever you are today and however you listen to the Call Me Mr. Youth, the podcast. Thank you again for making us a part of your morning, your day, and your week with your weekly mirror check before you change the world. Have a great day. Pick up more content throughout the course of the week. And on our Twitter pages, it's going to be hot out there like fire today. Trust me on that. Have a great day. Coach out.
Take it easy, guys.